The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 764. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on the show today. She's a publicist and also the founder of Project 4 PR, and I'm really excited to have her on and share her story with us today on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Amira de Vera. Amira, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more by yourself to the listeners.
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Well, you did a great intro. I am a publicist, so I work in the public relations industry, and I specifically focus on entertainment PR, which means that I represent talent in the film, TV, books, music, that kind of world. And I started my company, Project 4 PR, about 2.5 years ago, and it's been going really great, and I represent some of the country's most amazing talent.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Amira, what's your cultural background?
I'm Filipino.
Thanks for sharing that. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
Favorite self-confidence quote. I think the one that really stands out to me a lot is this one that I saw a while ago, and I don't actually know who says it, but it's along the lines of the most feared woman is the woman who doesn't need validation from anyone. And I've always loved that, because I think, obviously as human beings, we often need that self-validation from other people to make us feel more confident. But at the end of the day, it really is just about you being okay with yourself and loving yourself. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
Thanks for sharing that great quote, and I totally agree. I know as women, especially Asian women, we always seek validation, whether it's from our parents, society, or family members, friends. We just have to realize, we are more than enough. So thanks for sharing that great quote. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
Self-confidence, I think, comes in different forms, but I think for me, how I define it is, again, being happy with yourself and being happy with what you are able to do. I think too many times, especially as Asian women, being raised in a culture where perfection seems to be, the thing that you need to achieve. I think at the end of the day, you can only do as much as you can, and you should be happy with that and be okay with the fact that, you are going to make mistakes some days and there are going to be bad days, but that doesn't mean that you're not a great worker, a great person. I think it's learning how to be okay with the fact that you're not necessarily perfect, but you're constantly learning and you're constantly growing. So to me, self-confidence is about, knowing that there's always room to grow and that you're never going to achieve perfection, because at the end of the day, perfection is, it just means that you're done, you're not learning anymore, you're not growing anymore. And I think that's the worst place to be in.
Thanks for sharing that great definition. I totally agree. For me, perfection, it doesn't exist. It's like this standard that's been set by people who, unrealistic expectations of what we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to act, especially as women. I mean, society always tells us we should act and be a certain way, not realizing we're all different. We all have different skills, different talents, different traits. And the more we can show our true selves, the happier we can be and have that confidence. So thanks for sharing that great definition. And Amira, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
I mean, I don't know, because I feel like I'm still discovering self-confidence. I think every year there's always something new that I'm learning. I think the biggest change would have to be, I'm 33 now, but when I entered my 30s, it felt like there was a little bit of a huge shift for me, because in my 20s, and I think like anyone in their 20s, you're kind of still discovering who you are and you're making a lot of mistakes, and you're not fully aware of your true self yet. When I turned 30, however, I found this new, self-confidence that I never thought I had. And it was mostly about not caring what other people think. I think in the past, my younger self always cared about, what is this person thinking of me? What is this person saying about me? So I think in my 30s, I've learned to kind of let that go and, just focus on the work that I do, the people that I love who are, around me and inspire me. And for me, that's all that mattered. I didn't really listen to the noise anymore of like, oh, this, maybe this person's thinking that I'm not doing a good job with my work. That all kind of went away. And, I think that's really hard to get to that point. I think for me, it was a lot of realizing that I couldn't change other people's minds about me. So, if say they didn't like me, there's nothing that I could do about it. I just had to accept that. And that was super freeing for me. Like it was like this like huge relief for me to have that mindset, because I think having, caring about what other people think about you can be super crippling and can make you, can stunt your growth. I think that was my biggest change. And I think I'm in that place now where I care less and less. And obviously, there's, moments that you still feel like, oh my gosh, what is that person saying about me? But I've learned to catch myself and stop that thought. So like the minute it even enters my brain, I just kind of, take a step back and tell myself and remind myself that, you know what, there's nothing you can do. You know what you're capable of. So it doesn't really matter what anyone says. So yeah, it's a great space to be in. And again, I'm still learning every day.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think when everyone's in their 20s, we're all trying to figure out what we're trying to do, right? Or who we are and what we're about. And sometimes even in our 30s, we're still trying to figure that out. But the beauty about confidence is you can find it at any age. Can be, I've interviewed women who've found it in their 50s, right? It's never too late. And, I know sometimes people feel like it's too late, but it never is, right? If you just, think that you can do it, you just go ahead and do it. And yeah, those negative thoughts, they'll always come to us, right? It's part of life, especially as women, like it's like on overdrive. But like you mentioned, the more we can catch it and learn to, stop it, the easier it gets. I mean, of course, at first it's going to suck, but the more, like with anything, it takes practice. And the more we keep practicing it, the easier it becomes. And, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey to self-confidence. What'd be that one tip you'd give to her?
I mean, for me, I think I would tell that person to, again, take a look at herself and really list down the qualities that she likes about herself, which obviously is easier said than done. But, there has to be something about yourself that you're very proud of, whether it's, how you dealt with a specific situation, how you grew in the last year, the list could go on. And I would say just write it down. And every time you feel down about yourself, I would go back to that list that you made for yourself. I find journaling really helps me, because then I can look back at, entries that I've put in there and remember that I've come really, really far. So I think it sounds cheesy, but I think reminding yourself of that list is a great way to kind of forget about the noise and remember that, you're trying your best and you are really good at what you do and you are a really good person and, everything else that makes you feel good about yourself.
Thanks for sharing those great tips, and I totally agree. I know we all feel like sometimes it's weird to do that because it's not something that we've been taught in school or by our parents or society, but this is a great exercise and you can surprise yourself once you start listing down those qualities. So thanks for sharing that great tip. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do and check out some of your work, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can follow me on Instagram at Amira de Vera, and that's just my name spelled out. And you can also check out my company's website, Project 4, and that's the number 4 spelled out, PR.com.
Thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Amira, you can also head on over to the taoofselfconfidence.com and search for Amira's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Amira today for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Amira.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. And I hope anyone who's listening to this, can really look inside and realize that, we're all just on the same journey together. And, it's important to remember to give yourself a break and really love who you are and how far you've come in life.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And thanks again for being on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of the Tao of Self-Confidence. Please subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to get your daily boost of confidence.